There are a lot of great horror movies out there, but which three are at the top of the list of our favorite horror movies of all time? Hey everyone, welcome to Straight Jacket Talk. My name is Kevin. I'm joined by my host, who's the of the most, my co-host, Nathan. What's going on, man?
Not much. How you doing, man?
Good. Are you
That's
excited for our first episode of Straight Jacket Talk?
Of course. It's a great topic, and I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, we only get one chance at our top three favorite horror movies of all time. You know?
Yeah. If my top three change, which they will tomorrow, I just won't tell anybody about it.
That's the best thing to do. No one will know the difference anyways.
Nobody will know.
So, Straight Jacket Talk, it's going to be our exclusive YouTube show. It's going to run in conjunction with the Mouths of Madness horror movie podcast. And Straight Jacket Talk is going to be kind of a talk show / variety show. We're going to do horror movie discussions, horror movie reviews. We're going to do some big news that drops in the horror movie community. Some new trailers that drop. We'll do our reactions to them. In the future, we'd like to get some guests on and do some cool interviews. And also, we're going to be doing some of our top lists and our bottom lists, which is kind of a foreshadowing into tonight's episode. But before we get into the episode tonight, if you guys could please hit the like button and, also subscribe, that would really help us out. And also hit the notification bell, because if we do drop new videos, you get to be the first ones to see them. But
quite the privilege,
right? Yeah. If you've heard my voice before, maybe you recognize me. I'm one of the hosts on the Mouths of Madness horror movie podcast. Nathan is our editor and producer. He also has his own YouTube show that is on our YouTube channel, and it's called Editor's Notes, where he gives his own opinions on the movies that we review. And recently he just did one on his favorite movie, Better Watch Out. Isn't that right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, my favorite movie of all time. It's going to be on tonight's list. No, it's probably a spoiler for the bottom list whenever we decide to do that, to be honest with you.
Oh man, so you weren't a fan of it?
No. There are movies I don't like, and then there's this. When I was in high school, I had an issue where I got mad that people liked things that I didn't like. I've grown up since then. I'm almost 40 years old. Don't do that anymore. Yeah. Except now, Better Watch Out. It makes me mad to hear that people like it. It's that movie dematured me.
Wow.
It was so bad.
Wow. Well, listen, I think it is a great view. So if you guys haven't seen it, please go check it out. Nathan actually compares kind of a famous Game of Thrones character to the main character of Better Watch Out. So it is definitely an entertaining perspective I think you have on it.
Oh, thank you.
And if you guys haven't heard if you guys haven't heard the Mouths of Madness horror movie podcast yet, please go and take a listen. We're on all the major audio platforms. We'll also have a link in the description below. And also, we upload all of our episodes to our YouTube channel. So please go check it out. We just finished recording our first ever double feature episode on Candyman 1992 versus Candyman 2021. So hopefully by the time that this drops, that will be out there for you guys to go check out.
It will be.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. It's a great episode. We kind of, do the comparisons, contractions. We really get into it. So definitely go check it out, I think,
For sure.
You know what?
Great podcast.
Yeah.
Very entertaining.
Definitely. I was thinking about this the other day, Nathan. We've been friends for almost 25 years. Right?
Is it 25 years now?
Almost. We met in 8th grade, I believe.
8th grade, which would have made me like 13, and I'm 38 now. So yeah, it's probably about 25 years on the dot almost.
It's pretty crazy, right?
Yeah.
We came together on our love of music. We were in a band together all during high school. But one of the things we also had in common was horror movies. Mm-hmm. And
for sure.
We would do horror movie nights in high school. Remember those?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
We would basically...
The whole band would sleep over at your house and just watch 4 horror movies in a row. Mostly bad horror movies, but some really good ones, too.
Well, what I was going to say is we would go into like Blockbuster, right? And a lot of times we would go off the title or like the cover art and just be like, okay, let's try this one, right? You never know. A diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of
we watched Sorority House Massacre 2 instead of the Diamond in the Rough. It's a great movie, by the way. That's camp classic.
100%.
You know,
listen, you know, even if they're bad, as long as they're fun, like, you know, that's what makes sleepovers and horror movie nights, you know, really exciting. It's when you get that boring one that kind of sucks.
This man's not dead.
Was that your favorite that we saw, like, out of those horror movie nights?
As far as my favorite bad campy one, I think it was the most memorable, other than maybe what was the one with the guitar player killer?
Oh yeah, that was Slumber Party Massacre 2.
Slumber Party Massacre 2. Yeah, that one. That didn't have as many great lines. It was just that the killer was a guitar player with a drill on the headstock of his guitar.
That's great. We were kind of thinking of episodes for the Mouths of Madness horror movie podcast, and one of the ideas we have is doing like a pick your poison, where we're gonna like put on a wheel like all these quote unquote kind of campy, you know, perceived bad horror movies and spin it, see what we come out with to review. You know, it would be that one.
Right.
That might make that wheel though.
I would put it on the wheel.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great, but it's not good technically. You know.
Oh man. Yeah, that brings me back. Do you remember like what the first horror movie you saw or like first horror movie experience you had was?
Yeah. It was well before I met you. I saw Jaws on TV. Wow. I believe is you know, and they and in fact it edited out the scene with Quinn dying.
Wow.
So later in life I was like, oh wow, this is
Quinn dies.
No, I shouldn't say it edited out Quinn dying. It edited out the rougher parts, you know, it edited out any gore, basically. It was just like the shark came up and went back down with Quint.
Right.
So I had no idea that it was, I mean, it's not super rough or anything, but it was rougher than I knew when I watched it. So,
but that's a great horror movie to have your kind of first experience with and watching.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of the best movies of all time, bar none,
right.
Regardless of genre. So,
it's funny. Like, I was trying to think about. I'll be honest. Like, I didn't see that movie till much later on in life. My first experiences with horror movies was like I had an older cousin, and when I would stay over their house, he would, be with his friends and they would be watching, you know, some scarier movies. So I don't remember everything I saw, but it was like I would see parts like The Shining. I definitely remember that. It's etched in my mind.
That's a really good movie. Yeah.
And it was like the shower scene. It was etched in my mind, you know, with the old lady in the bathtub.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That scene is, for a young man, it might be very confusing because it starts off very appealing
Right.
and then ends up not so much.
Right. I was like, what is this? You know? And I think also I had seen Hellraiser as well.
I still haven't seen that
Yeah.
one, actually, believe it or not.
I think we're going to cover that in the Miles of Madness horror movie podcast.
Yeah, it'll force me to watch it.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's a classic. But do you know what the first horror movie I ever saw was?
I do. You've told me. But I'm going to let you tell me again.
It's my favorite. It's top of the
yeah.
no. It's
Top of the heap.
It's top in the list, Nathan. It's top of the list. No, it's
Yeah.
Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. It was the first horror movie I ever rented.
Mm-hmm.
So it came out in 95, so it must have been like 96 probably when I saw it.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you know, dude, I didn't
Would have been
sleep.
like
I didn't sleep for like
10
6
years old?
weeks. Yeah, I was like 10 years old. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I didn't sleep for like 6 weeks. It scared, the crap out of me.
Well, I mean, at that age, you're not exactly worried about quality there. You're just seeing a man doing awful things, in a scary freaking mask.
Right.
So
Right.
I get it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Now you look, it definitely is a nostalgic movie for me. But, it opened the floodgates up to, other horror movies, which was cool, and definitely
Oh, for sure.
got me in the direction of the original Halloween,
Yeah.
So,
Which is obviously a classic.
Right.
Probably the best slasher of all time, I would say,
yeah,
in my opinion.
you might be right.
You know.
You might be
Yeah.
right. Well, that brings me to my point that I want to make about our top 3 favorite horror movie lists. These movies are our favorites. We're not saying that these are like the best movies of all time or even like the best horror movie. Like these don't have to be 5-star classics. This is just our opinion of our top 3 favorite horror movies. Now, admittedly, we haven't shared our lists with each other, so I don't know
No.
yours, right?
No, and I don't know yours either.
So it will be cool to see what they are. I'm guessing there are a couple of 5-star classics maybe in our lists,
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty hard to deny some of those movies. So it's just naturally they're going to end up on there eventually. So,
Right.
All
right. Well, without any further ado, let's dive in, shall we?
Sure.
All right. I'm going to go first.
Sounds good.
And we're going to go 3 down to 1 being our favorite. All right.
Few honorable mentions before
Yeah,
one.
you could do, a few honorable mentions. I'll give you a few honorable mentions on myself first. One of my honorable mentions is actually, this is a tease into an upcoming Miles of Madness episode. My Bloody Valentine, 1981.
Oh,
me,
really?
Yeah, to me, like you said, Halloween might be the best slasher movie of all time. My Bloody Valentine, I think it might be number 2. I think it's
Really?
like the definition of a slasher movie, Great kills, motive, a little mystery. I mean, it's fun, it's got it all. I really enjoy that movie. I think the cinematography is great. It's got some pretty good acting for back in the day. I believe it's a Canadian movie. I'm not sure, but
Oh, no.
another Canadian movie. But I don't know.
I
love it.
haven't seen this movie, actually.
Oh,
it's
okay.
another one. I know that the Mouths of Madness are going to do it, so it's another movie. It's going to force me to watch it for the first time.
Yeah, I think it's one of those too. Like I said, it's a fun movie. So even if you're like, kind of iffy about it, Like, it's fun. It's an easy watch, and that's what I
Right.
really like about it. My other honorable mention, I do have one more. Is
See, I was gonna wait until right before number 1 for honorable.
oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna give you mine
So-
right away.
Okay, it works for me.
I'm breaking the
Works for me.
seal on mine. Is
Right.
Behind the Mask: The Rise of Leslie Vernon. This
Haven't
is
seen this one either.
yeah, this is kind of a lesser known one. It's kind of a mockumentary where
Oh, a little bit of almost found footagey type thing.
a
or-
little bit, yes, but it does it so well. And I can't give away too much on it because there is a twist that happens, and it's a better twist than Better Watch Out, in my opinion.
I should hope so. I should hope so.
You know what? I can't say the twist was bad in Better Watch Out at the beginning, but then it turned into like,
I've done a half an hour video and edited an hour and a half podcast on that movie. We don't need to talk about it.
That's it. You're done with it.
I'm done. That movie's over.
But listen, with the Rise of Leslie Vernon, it is it does have a twist. It has some great acting in it. And it actually has kind of an horror icon, Robert Englund, in it as well. So it's kind of a cool,
got Freddy in there.
Yeah, a little part for him. But it's done so well. I definitely recommend viewing it if you haven't. And maybe we could try to do it on the Mouths of Madness horror movie podcast coming up down the line. So couple honorable mentions for me. You can do yours
There
later.
you go. All righty.
So number 3 for me. This is kind of ironic. It's Jaws.
Is it Jaws?
It's Jaws. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And
my gosh.
I teased a little bit earlier. I hadn't seen this movie until I met my wife. And
Really?
yeah, really, is that long. Yeah, I didn't see it. I had seen parts,
I've seen that. It was the first horror movie I've ever seen, and I've seen it probably more than I've seen any other movie in the history of my movie watching. I can't believe that you and I never actually just picked it up to watch it at some point back in our childhood.
I know. I was thinking
That's
that
crazy.
too. I was thinking that too. Yeah. When I met her, it's like, she's not a huge horror fan. So it's one of like her only real horror movies she'll watch. But
Right.
her father also loves it. So it's like their family kind of movie,
Well, I mean, it's a quintessential. I mean, it's the first summer blockbuster. It's, Steven Spielberg's second film, second major release film, and the first one to be a gigantic hit. It is. There, not enough good can be said about that movie.
Yeah. No, I agree. The acting, it's superb.
Yeah.
The Quint, Brody, Hooper, like there's all 3 of them are iconic characters. How many movies even movies, not just horror movies, can you say have like 3 iconic
characters?
Yeah, right.
It's got 4 iconic characters. The shark is a character too.
Bruce, yeah.
Yeah.
What I love. What's that?
I was gonna say it's kind of crazy because it's like you think of it as like the horror movie your grandma can watch,
Right.
But it's one of the only horror movies. There's not a lot of horror movies that have the balls to kill a 12-year-old.
That's very true.
I'm just putting that movie starts off with killing a teenage girl, moves on to killing a dog, and then kills his 12-year-old. That movie went hard.
I wonder if
and it's the one that your grandma can watch.
I wonder if John Carpenter got some of his breaking the horror movie rules from, because John Carpenter's thing is like killing kids, killing dogs.
Right.
No,
yeah, for sure.
No, you know what I love too about Jaws is kind of something I like in my other, kind of a spoiler, in my other 2 top horror movies. You don't see much of Jaws,
Yeah.
You don't see much of the shark. You're using your imagination really a lot of the time,
Yeah, for sure. And It's funny because you think of that as one of the things that makes that movie great, but that was not the original plan.
Right.
I don't know if you know that, but that damn shark, the mechanical shark, kept breaking, and that's why you just never see the shark until like the very end. Was that the special effects kept breaking?
It worked out like perfectly, though, in my opinion. You know.
Yeah, especially since you look at it modern days, the special effects. More of the shark probably wouldn't have done it any good for it holding up.
100%. Less is more, I think,
Oh yeah, for sure. God, I love that movie. It's hard to say enough about it.
Right. We could probably do a whole episode on just Jaws. Maybe some of these.
I could talk about it for the whole episode. Yeah.
The only thing, the last thing I'll say kind of in it is, to me, it's like one of those movies that it feels like summertime, it's like put it on. For sure. But it's also one of those movies that everyone kind of has that fear of sharks in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's kind of this everlasting fear, like, 30 years from now, 40 years from now, people will still be afraid of sharks,
Right. I will say, though, it is a little bit ludicrous, the idea that a vacation town would ever close its beaches because of a shark.
That would never happen.
No, especially a single shark.
That's
the local businesses would revolt, which is what happened in the movie. But
right.
But no, you figure out the problem while you keep the beaches open.
So
Chief
the mayor,
Brody.
The mayor wasn't really the bad guy.
The mayor was right.
Yeah.
Right? At the end of the day, the mayor was right. What's a few kids? Whatever.
Chief Brody?
Yes?
Oh, man. F them kids,
F them kids. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, dude. What's your number 3?
What's my number 3? My number 3 is much more recent, much less classic. It's Annihilation.
Wow.
By Alex Garland. Yes, I like it that much.
Wow.
I love that movie that much. It's a slow burn, which I love that about it. It's a sci-fi horror, which is something I also really love. And it's very deep.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of themes going for it. It's about the terror of an ever-changing world. It's about the terror of change of yourself due to trauma.
Right.
And it is also very, very, very trippy.
It is.
It's got some great body horror.
Yeah.
Some great body horror gore. That bear is maybe the most terrifying
Scary
monster
as hell, man.
in movie history.
I love those scenes too.
I might be going far, but
no, I love the scenes too where like you can't really see the bear either, like because of the darkness and stuff that happens. And just like taking, when it takes that girl, through the fence.
Jess, I believe is her name.
Yeah. That's such a great scene, because it's just like, whoa,
what just happened?
Yeah, right.
You didn't see it, so it
happens so quick.
Fear-inducing because you didn't see it. Real quick. Just all of a sudden, she's gone. Oh my gosh.
No.
And then when the bear starts talking in her voice, because if you don't know,
I forgot about that.
If you don't know what the movie is about, like it's a meteor strikes a lighthouse on the shore in the Everglades and creates this thing called the shimmer, and it's like this bubble, and inside the bubble, everything is sort of combined, including your DNA. Everything sort of gets remixed. Right. And so the girl who gets taken by the bear is remixed with the bear. And when they come across the bear later, that bear is screaming in her voice.
Yes.
As it, as it menaces the rest of the cast of the movie.
God. That was,
and it's just terrifying.
That was my favorite scene in that movie, where they're tied to those chairs, and the bear comes in. It's like, holy shit, this is horrifying.
And it's just this. It's not a regular bear. Its face is all gnarly, and oh my god. And then, of course, I mean, the biggest, I think, the most famous scene from that movie is when, you know, they cut that dude open and his insides are squirming around like eels because he got combined with something. You know?
Yeah, dude.
There's
I'm glad you recommended for me to watch that, because it was definitely a great movie. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I bought it on 4K Blu-ray recently just because I want to be able to watch it whenever I want to watch it.
Yeah.
You know, it went off of Amazon and onto Paramount, and I'm like, nope, I don't want to have to follow it around on streaming services to be able to watch it whenever I want. So
Right.
yeah.
Awesome.
So there you
Okay.
go.
Cool. All right. Number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Mine is Black Christmas, 1974.
Oh,
The original.
really?
Yeah, we
No, I knew that it made your top 10. I didn't realize it got that high.
yeah. I mean, we covered it in the Miles of Madness horror movie podcast. I think it was episode 4 or no, 3.
3.
And yeah, I had never seen it before, and Dan had recommended us to do it for the podcast, and wow, like,
Good recommendation.
Yeah.
That's a great movie.
yeah, it has everything I love. You know, it has, you know, suspense. It has a killer that's not really seen too much. You know, I thought,
Basically not seen at all.
right. Yeah.
You
I
see
mean,
his
all you
eyes
see
in
is
one
really
scene.
his eye and like a little bit when they're going down the stairs and things like that.
And the mystery makes it much scarier, I think.
100%.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it had likable characters. You know, I thought.
Oh,
was-
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was more than just like a simple like slasher. You know.
Yeah, it had likable and realistic characters.
Yes.
Was the big thing for me. Is I felt like these could just be college girls. Like they weren't running around being way overly sexy, but they weren't sexless either.
Right.
And you know,
That's a
they
good way to
drank,
put it.
but they were, you know, like, and they drank to excess, but it just, the characters were great.
Yeah. And that, I think that's what really made it stand out, you know, because it's like kind of a horror movie with heart, you know. And, and the phone calls.
Definitely had heart.
Phone calls were super scary.
Tongue up your pretty pussy.
You fucking creep!
I'm going to kill you.
Oh my gosh. During the edit there, I had a lot of fun doing the phone call stuff in the edit of that podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love listening. Like when I've listened back to our podcast, that's like my favorite episode that we have so far, you know, and a big portion of that is the edits that you put in there with the phone ringing and you know, some of the quotes from the movie, because there are like so many memorable scenes in that movie too, with all the characters. You know?
Oh yeah. The unicorn was just like I gotta get pointy objects out of my room in case somebody comes in. And, you know?
Dude, he's in the attic the whole time. Oh my God. Like,
oh my God. Yeah. That's what freaks you out really, is he's just in the attic, and you can imagine you know, how often do you go into your attic?
Right.
You know, and if you hear noises from up there, you go, oh crap, I gotta get rat traps or something.
Yeah, you know? Hopefully it's not Billy up there.
Yeah, you definitely don't want it to be Billy up there. Oh my gosh, Billy.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, I love everything about it. To me, it is like, you know, the Blueprint, like I said in the episode, it started so many of the tropes, but did them so much better than, you know, 95% of the other horror movies. So I mean, I think it's timeless, you know.
I think it is too. And it's not camp. It came out before the camp slasher became a thing.
Right. Right. It's serious.
I love camp slasher, but it's also not, you know, a camp slasher's not gonna make my top 3.
Yeah,
you know?
100%.
So,
yeah, it's serious. It has serious themes throughout, but you know, it's done in such a way that, like, you know, you're so invested in the story and what's going on.
Right.
And the greatest thing is you don't know anything really about Billy, the killer.
Yeah.
You know, it's all left up again to your imagination, which I think is scary.
Yeah. It's extremely scary. All right.
You're number 2.
My number 2 is going to be The Exorcist.
Wow. The original.
Yeah. The original Exorcist. No, Exorcist Believer.
Oh, man.
So I think The Exorcist is one of the greatest movies ever made, and a pox on anybody who thinks it's boring.
We did have a couple of opinions on our episode of The Exorcist.
Including you. I'm calling you out. Talking about the damn cop. I don't know. Anyway, I think The Exorcist, it's a mastercraft in consistently and gradually rising tension. I can't think of a movie that really raises the temperature more gradually and more naturally than The Exorcist. And I also find the characters to be relatable and fun, and then you really feel for them when this stuff starts happening, right? Because it is a horror from the perspective of Chris, the mother,
right?
And that those are the eyes that you're supposed to look at that movie through, and how terrifying it would be. I'm not a parent, but I can only imagine how terrifying it would be to have a child that there is something very wrong with, and you don't, and nobody can tell you what it is.
Right.
Nobody can tell.
That is like the scariest part of that movie, because it's like there's nothing you can do to stop what's happening, you know?
Right.
Like they do all the medical tests. Yeah. Right.
Which are terrifying in themselves.
Yes. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. I rewatched it last night because I hadn't seen it in, I don't know, 5-6 years or so. And I wanted to refresh my memory.
Yeah.
And just rewatching those medical scenes was like, ugh. You know, everything else I could handle just fine. I mean, it's The Exorcist. It's not exactly a gore fest or anything like that. But those medical scenes, they
those are scary scenes.
Yeah.
No, I think The Exorcist is classic. I mean, it's like the quintessential horror movie, you know. To me, like, yes,
For sure.
I think some parts are boring, but it's still like
a pox on your house.
dude, but it's still like, it's still terrifying, you know, like a innocent girl being taken over by a demon for like no apparent reason that we can see in the actual movie, you know, behind it.
Right.
It's and like we said, there's nothing the mother can do. I mean, she you know, exhausts all her resources, finally, you know, comes to the priests and doing the exorcism, and all those scenes are just classic scenes, you know.
Indeed.
And again, if you've never even seen The Exorcist, like, you know those scenes, you know the throwing up scenes, you know the head spinning scene. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Which is, it's almost a shame sometimes with stuff like that too. Is like, because it's not going to surprise you the way it did the people in theaters.
Yes.
I don't know. It came up in my mind just now that, like, I watched Alien for the first time when I was 12 or 13, and I knew what was going to happen at the dinner scene. It didn't
Yeah.
surprise me because it was just a part of
Like pop culture.
yeah. Yeah. At the same time, that's just the way things are going to be about that. But I do want to answer your question about the cop.
Yes.
You guys had like, well, what's going on with that cop? Why is he so important?
Yeah.
And I rewatched it, and I remember editing that podcast and thinking to myself, why are they so obsessed with what this cop is about?
We couldn't
Like,
figure
why
out what
do they
the cop.
care about this damn
Yeah,
cop?
right.
I watched it again last night, and I guess it is more suggestive that he's supposed to be more important than he is, than I remembered him being, but I
Yeah.
still didn't think it was that much. The cop is an exposition dump.
Yeah.
That's with flavor.
Yeah.
That's all he is. He's there to tell you about what happened to Burke Dennings.
Right.
And he's also there to add to Chris's stress. And he's also there to be a witness at the end, because otherwise Chris would go to jail for murdering those two priests.
Yeah. Well, when you say it like
So-
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I mean, it was just one of those characters that I think, like I said, because in the podcast, we're kind of conditioned, like from years and years of horror movies. Like, this has to have kind of a greater purpose, in the story. But what you said
Right.
makes a lot of sense and gives validation to the ending of, kind of moving on,
Right. Yeah. I don't know. It's from a time when things were a little bit more subtle. Sometimes to a fault. I do think there is a happy medium between what the 70s used to do with that kind of stuff and what we do today, where we spell everything out in detail.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
100%.
another thing I like about Annihilation, actually, is it doesn't do that.
Can you describe its form?
No.
There
Yes.
are still modern movies that don't do that.
It's always a
Annihilation,
cool thing,
Yeah. Hereditary as well doesn't do that.
I haven't seen it yet. We're gonna spoiler. We have it scheduled to do on the podcast coming up.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah. So
Hereditary almost ended up on my list in place of Annihilation,
Wow.
actually.
All right. So another one you'll like.
Yeah.
We're trying to rid you of the better watch out taste. Get it out of the mouth.
It'd be easier if you didn't keep mentioning it.
That's how we deal with trauma on this show.
Oh, yeah. You face the trauma of
Right.
better watch out.
Face it.
Otherwise,
head
you'll
on.
never get it out of you. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're down to our number one favorite horror movie of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Mine, I don't think is a surprise to you.
I don't think it's a surprise either.
It's Halloween, 1978 Halloween. This is the movie of movies to me. It's my favorite movie, just not my favorite horror movie. Like,
Yeah.
I love everything about it. I love, like we've said kind of before on this list, where like a lot of imagination, Michael Myers, he's a shape, blank shape.
Yeah. Motiveless,
Right. Exactly.
mysterious.
Yeah, like scary shadows. I mean, some of those scenes are also iconic that, will be, I know they're overdone with pop culture too. And kind of, we've all seen them, with the sheet with the ghost and the eye or the glasses, and
Yeah. But somebody had to do it first. And
You're right.
You shouldn't get penalized for doing it first.
you're right. And
So-
they are like the standard. I think if anything, Halloween 6 and The Curse of Michael Myers really brought me to, it was directly to this movie, because I was like, okay, now that I've gotten over my scared, 6 weeks of no sleep, I'm going to go,
Gotta see
I'm gonna go
gotta
watch
see the
the
beginning of the
first one.
story. Yeah.
right. So, it brought me to this movie. I mean, everything I love about it. It's just, even the atmosphere can't be reproduced in any movie to me, you know.
No, there's something very particular about the atmosphere of that movie. It's in the color grading. It's in the town that it's based in.
Yeah.
You know, it's probably in the damn film that they used to film it, to be honest with you.
Yeah. It just, I know it sounds stupid, but it feels like Halloween, you know, like it's.
Yeah, I don't think that sounds stupid. I think that sounds true.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I've never seen a movie like that just kind of, you know, surrounds you in the actual feeling of the movie, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Laurie Strode, she is the final girl. Dr. Loomis, like one of my favorite characters. Donald Pleasance, man.
Oh my gosh.
You know.
Remember when I wrote a song about him?
Yes. We did a song called Tribute to Loomis, right? That's the one you're talking about?
Yeah. It was like first time I ever did any electronic music back when I was like, how old was I? 16 or so, like that.
That was
something
like kind
that.
of like the start of your editor / producer kind of, you know, origin story. Was
I had
Dr.
no
Loomis.
idea what I was doing. That's for sure. But
You know.
I made a song.
That's how much we liked him. You know, it like his quotes in like Halloween movies, just they're synonymous with kind of horror and like creating this monster with his words. And, you know, he was really the mouthpiece for Michael Myers because Michael Myers didn't talk.
I met him 15 years ago. I was told there was nothing left. No reason, no conscience, no understanding, and even the most rudimentary sense of life or death, of good or evil, right or wrong.
So
Right.
Dr. Loomis filled in all the gaps and, you know, he really made Michael Myers in a way, you know.
Oh yeah, for sure. The Michael Myers is barely a character when it comes down to it. What Michael Myers is a mask in the rantings of Dr. Loomis.
You're right.
That's, you know, that's what you know about him.
You're right. 100%.
And obviously his actions, the killing is also part of it, but
And it has one of my
maybe
favorite.
the main part of it.
It has one of my favorite endings too of all time, where you know
Yes.
he shoots him 6 times, looks over the balcony, he's gone. Loomis gives a face like he knew he'd be gone. It was just
Right.
perfect, you know. And then
Right.
obviously the music. I mean, that
Right.
song, man, is, I mean, maybe
Oh yeah.
one of the best
That song.
movie songs of all time.
Yeah. Although I do think it was heavily influenced by Tubular Bells. But no, definitely one of the most iconic horror song. In fact, both of the 2 movies in a row with iconic horror songs right there.
100%. Yeah, because when you hear Tubular Bells or the Halloween theme, like
You know exactly where it came from
Yeah,
instantly.
exactly. Like you maybe
You know.
haven't even seen those movies.
Right. 8-year-olds probably know. Oh, that's the Exorcist song. You know what I'm saying?
My daughter
that's the
knows. My daughter Haley, who's 10, she knows.
Right.
She's never seen Halloween or The Exorcist. And like when we do
not movies you're going to show them quite yet,
Yeah.
or quite yet.
Yeah, 100%. But like when we like go trick or treating, or they have the trick or trunks and they play like the DJ music and they have
Right.
those songs play, she's like, "Oh, that's Michael Myers theme," or you know, "That's The Exorcist." Like, whoa,
Right.
you know. But I mean,
Right.
again, just classics, 100%.
For sure.
Now I'm
sure.
excited. I want to hear your number one song. Or number
You're
one
getting
song.
honorable mentions.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
getting
I meant your
honorable
number one
mentions
movie.
instead.
Yes. Let me hear your honorable mentions.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original from
Yes.
1974, I want to say.
Yeah.
Another one of the best slasher movies of all time.
Yes.
And didn't make my top 3, partially because I'm actually not that much of a slasher fan. But watched it for the first time at your house when I was like 15, 16, and remember it being at the time probably the scariest movie I'd ever seen in my life.
Nice.
something about it. That dinner scene scared the crap out of me.
100%.
You know?
I love that scene. I love the scene where he just freaking, you know, with the chainsaw running like big dude.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
How scary is that image?
It's a scary, and it manages to scare you in broad daylight too.
Yes.
Every scene in that movie is in broad daylight, but everything's so dirty and grimy, and the idea of this man with this chainsaw running at you is just so terrifying.
You know, again, it's a lived-in atmosphere.
Yeah, similar to Halloween, and
Yes.
and I think partially comes from having a low budget in the
Yes.
1970s on film.
Yeah.
Having a low budget today means something very different because of digital cameras.
That's true.
I have a low budget. This camera's all right. So, and my second honorable mention is The Fly,
Yeah.
which I know you have not seen yet.
No,
So
we're going to do it though
ref-
on the podcast. I promise
Yeah.
you that.
Yes.
Because we actually, all of us are interested in seeing it, including Bear Claw, because Bear Claw loves.
Have none of you seen it?
None of us have seen it. No.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. That's going to be an experience. Yeah, it's the most normal movie. You know, I can't think of anything you can combine that goes together quite like tragic romance and gore-fest body horror.
That's good.
That's like peanut butter and chocolate right,
Right.
there. Yeah. So,
Perfect combination.
yeah. So, short honorable mention list there.
All right. I like it.
My number one, I thought would end up being kind of controversial among the among horror fandom.
Ooh.
But then it turned out it was your number 3.
Oh.
My number 1 is Jaws.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
A little crossover there. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the one movie that our lists have in common. I was not expecting it to be on your list for some reason. Because it's, again, I thought it was going to be controversial because it is like the horror movie your grandma can watch. You know?
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I think Jaws is just Jaws. You know, like,
Yeah.
dude, it's one of the most respected movies of all time, and it's scary. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. And again, I think it goes harder than people give it credit for.
Yes.
That scene with Quint dying is not bloodless by any means.
No.
You know,
No.
it is rated PG though. You know, did you know that?
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a 1970s PG for sure. There's no PG-13 back then, but
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, it's rated PG.
That's true. There is some
Crazy.
terrifying, you know, scenes though with like you said with Quint dying. You know, there's that big jump
Little
scare.
Alex Kintner,
Yeah, the kid,
dying.
kid.
like blood is just shooting out of
up.
the water like
Yeah.
a geyser, and it's like, again, it's not huge on the gore, but that's a lot of blood.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it is. It is kind of funny that that's a PG movie, but
yeah, I think it's probably the only PG movie where a child gets eaten alive.
we're a child.
Would be my guess.
Oh my god.
I'm probably wrong about that. If comments will say, "Oh no, here's 20 different PG movies where a child dies."
I don't know. You can't argue it. Like My Girl.
I haven't seen that one, so I don't
no.
know.
I haven't
No.
seen it in a long, long time, but I don't. Yeah, I don't know if that movie's PG. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I've never seen it.
Yeah, I was trying to think of movies where kids die.
Well, I'm not even saying kids die. Like kids die in a horror movie kind of way.
Yeah, right.
Like
Kids get
you know,
murdered on
you're right.
screen.
You can have exactly. Like you can have a PG movie where it's like a sad tragedy. The kid dies of cancer or something.
Right.
But the moment you start putting his blood on the screen, it changes things a little bit.
Bang.
You know.
I like
Yeah.
that this is your top favorite horror movie of all time, but it was also like the first horror movie you had seen too. So it's like,
yeah, it's cool. I feel like that's kind of just a coincidence, but it also partly, I mean, obviously I have nostalgia for it.
Yeah.
Although I think it's one of those movies that everyone has nostalgia for. Like, except for you, because somehow you didn't see it until you were like 20.
Well, I think what's nostalgic for me now with it is it's like my family's kind of horror movie. So like, you know, we try to watch it at the beginning of summer. It's kind of like our beginning summer movie, you know?
Right.
And,
that's why I lost count of how many times I've seen it. It's because it's such a summer movie, I think. So
I mean, I've probably seen it like 30, 40 times now, like, you know, because we just
I watch it a couple of times a year.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But it's cool. I mean,
that one and Jurassic Park are the two, like, those are my comfort movies.
Yeah. That's cool.
Jurassic Park is a horror movie, isn't it?
It could. So this is something we always talk about, like what's classified as a horror movie and not. It could be, you know, because there's a lot of horror elements to it. Definitely.
I mean, it's definitely a monster movie. Those dinosaurs are monsters for sure.
Yeah. And you know what? The new Godzilla -1 movie is kind of making waves in the horror community. So
right.
To me,
if Godzilla's a horror movie, then Jurassic Park is a horror movie.
I agree.
I haven't seen Godzilla -1 yet. I've heard nothing but good things about it, though. And I do love me some Godzilla. So.
Well, this gets us to our last segment of the show.
Okay.
Let's do our content consumed. We're going to give you guys kind of everything we've been watching, reading, listening to. Doesn't necessarily have to be horror. We're just going to kind of give you the roundup of what we've been consuming. I'll go first. Watching wise, I haven't watched too much lately. I'll be honest. I watched the Candyman movies, the 2021 movie and the 1992 one.
Really good movies there.
So that was a lot of what I watched. I did go to the movies though last week, and I saw 2 movies, which, you know, is kind of weird for me. 2 in 1 week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
I saw The Iron Claw, which is the movie based on the Von Erich wrestling family, and I thought it was good. I mean, I am a wrestling fan, but admittedly, like, I didn't know much about the Von Erich family, and I thought it was good. Zac Efron, I thought is good. It has that actor Jeremy Allen White, I believe his name is, from the Bear TV show, and
I don't know that one.
Yeah, it was good. It was sad, very sad and depressing. So, like, if sad and depressing is not your thing, don't go see it. But it is good. I also saw the Wonka movie, which admittedly,
took your kids to that one. I take it.
So Haley wanted to go, and dude, I'm not a huge musical fan.
Me neither. But
I'm not really a Willy Wonka fan. I hate to say it, like Charlie.
Oh no, I was gonna say, but you like Wonka, right?
See, I don't. Yeah, I don't. But
jeez,
I will say this: I actually didn't mind this movie at all. Like,
really,
I really kind of was into it, and a lot of it was kind of seeing the movie through Haley's eyes, because she likes some of those kind of kid musicals and stuff, and she really enjoyed herself during it. But what I will say is it's entertaining and moves along at a pretty good pace. So I've heard some people, you know, review it and they're like, oh my God, like this stinks. Like and this is what
it's
I will.
Getting decent reviews on Rotten Tomatoes though, isn't it?
So I've seen some of that, but I've also heard people like, And I think what it is there's a disconnect a little bit, because I think, you know, Willy Wonka and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory could kind of be for adults and children a little bit. Like there's a mix. This to me is definitely more of
it's for kids
children's movie, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Which if you go in knowing that, to me, like I've seen, like, you know, a lot of kids movies with my kids, like animation
Well,
movies.
obviously.
And
yeah.
you know what? When I go into it knowing that, I have a good time. Like, I'm not looking for anything that's, you know.
Some of those movies are bangers anyway, though.
Yeah, I think so.
I can watch Moana. Who doesn't love Moana?
I love
you know?
Moana.
Yeah, Moana's
I love
great.
Moana. Go see
welcome.
Coco. Coco is my jam.
I haven't seen Coco.
Yeah, I
but
love Coco.
I don't have kids, so it's you know, it's if my nieces and my niece and nephew are over, it's whatever they want to watch is the only kids movies that I've seen.
Next time they're
which
over,
is why I've
be
seen
like,
Moana.
Next time they're over, be like, hey, we're watching some Coco. Everything else for watch. YouTube, I really like the Slaughtered Lamb horror movie podcast. They are my go-to for like horror content on YouTube. Check those guys out. Reading wise, I haven't read much lately. I'm trying to read a new book my wife just got me. It's Dave Grohl, The Storyteller.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, it's stuff I'm
That's got to be
interested
interesting.
in. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
for
trying to
sure.
get into that. I've read like one page, so I can't tell you. Listening wise,
I don't read books much anymore either. Kind of fried my brain back in high school.
hey,
So, you know.
I hear you, dude. I hear you. Listening wise, you know, lots of podcasts, especially horror movie podcasts. I love horror movie podcasts. I recently found one called It Slays podcast, which we're friends with on Instagram. They're pretty good
Okay.
guys and girls. There's also one called Did You Get That on Film? Really good. They do theirs a little bit differently. They actually like go through the movie process, like, and go through it and talk about it. So
like talk about the actual events of the movie, like in order. Okay.
Yeah, it's different than ours. They really like step by step go through it and get their thoughts as they go through it. But
Right.
I recommend it if you have time. Like, it's really cool. I think they have good chemistry. And lastly, I follow and I've been listening to a lot is the Spook House podcast, and they just did an episode called The Spookies, where they give out like their best awards for 2023. So it's a pretty exciting episode.
That's good. That's good. I haven't seen a lot of the 2023 horror movies, so I can't. Did Men come out in 2023? Or is that last year? The year before?
I don't remember.
Because if Men came out in 2023, I think that's the only 2023 horror movie I've seen.
Yeah.
And I loved it, by the way. I know that's a hot take these days,
Wow.
but I loved that movie.
Hey.
It's another Alex Garland flick. Alex Garland did Annihilation and Ex Machina. It's
Listen.
probably one of my favorite directors. So
You like what you like. You know,
for sure.
All right. How about
For
you,
sure.
man?
Yeah. So I have been. So I'm like a couple decades late to the party, but I have been doing a deep dive on South Korean films for the past couple of months or so.
Nice.
And catching up on all these South Korean films that nobody told me were as great as they are.
Nice.
Yeah, it's crazy because like I watched Parasite, and
I've heard about
I remember
that one.
Yeah, I remember seeing, it's the first foreign movie to win Best Picture. It's probably some boring character study about somebody who's like dying of cancer or something. Not up my alley. But no, that movie moves as fast as John Wick. It is so good. It is hilarious. There's a scene where a guy pees everywhere, which, as you know, is hilarious to us.
Gotta have pee everywhere, right?
Yeah, for sure. And then I also saw Old Boy for the first time,
Yes.
which is you've seen Old Boy, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
How
in
did
a
I miss
long,
out
long
on that
time.
for that long? Yeah.
I saw it when they did, the American remake.
Right, which I have not seen. I've heard it's not great.
Yeah, so I
But-
saw that, and then I had read, everyone's like, this sucks. Go see, the
Right.
original. And I agree. I mean, the original to me was better.
Yeah, it's a damn good movie.
Yeah.
I also I want to catch up on Robert Eggers stuff. So I saw The Lighthouse the other day.
How'd you like that?
Which I love The Lighthouse so much.
Yeah. Logan saw it. He
which-
said it was really good.
Yeah. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it. No.
Oh, it is very Robert Eggers.
Yeah.
And I say that having only seen one other movie of his, but it is bizarre and
Right up your alley.
yeah, I'm surprised Logan likes it because it moves very slow. It moves very slow.
He's different. Like he likes weirder, slow kind of thing.
Right. That makes sense.
I don't know.
I would call it a horror movie as well, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should you should see it and we should talk about it sometime on an episode.
All right.
And as far as other stuff goes, I've been listening to a lot of mid-90s Bjork.
Nice.
So, Vespertine, Post, I don't know, for some reason she has been what has been on in my car for the past couple weeks, she's great.
That's awesome.
I don't like a huge amount of electronic music, but something about her just speaks to me. So,
Yeah. Again,
and
you like what you like.
Yeah, for sure. And that's pretty much it, I think, for
Nice.
stuff I've been watching and listening to, and
Yeah, that's good. And
Yeah.
as we roll along, probably more content consuming,
yeah, gonna need to for the show.
Right.
Like eventually I'm going to have to actually catch up on all those 2023 horror movies that I just told you I'm not watching, haven't watched. So
Definitely. And I think like one of our next shows, we're going to try to do a review of one of those movies. So I think that would be cool to kind of get our take on some newer stuff, because especially like on the Miles of Madness horror movie podcast, we are covering more kind of classic stuff. We haven't done too much of the newer stuff. So it'd be cool to kind of review some of those ones that we maybe missed the past couple of years.
right. Yeah. Having a job and all that stuff gets in the way of watching some of the newer movies, I think. But
But now on Straight Jacket Talk, you'll get to hear some of our opinions on these newer movies, and hopefully
because we'll have to watch them.
Yeah, right. And hopefully we'll like them. No. Can't like all of them, right?
Yeah. The one you've been telling me about that we're gonna do soon has been getting really, really good reviews. So looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely. Well, look for that soon, because we're gonna be reviewing. I'm not gonna share it yet, because I want people to get excited and kind of see. It's one of those.
That's why
movies,
I was being vague.
Yeah, it's one of those movies that some people have already kind of reviewed and stuff. We're gonna let that simmer a little bit, and we're gonna come with our own review on it, because it is a movie, like you're saying, that people are kind of speaking highly
Talking
of.
about.
Yeah, but it's also kind of gone underneath the radar a little bit. So I want to
Outside of the horror community, I suppose. Probably.
100%. Right. So I want to give our take on it and, see what you guys think. But that's going to do it for tonight's show. And like I said, we'll be back with another show soon. And we're also going to have another Miles of Madness horror movie podcast episode coming out soon as well. So please look for those. Now back to the padded room with you. We'll see you soon. Take care.
Have a good day. I'm cutting that last sentence I just said out.
Have a nice day.